Hold up. I know this kind of video title might rile a few people up, so let me explain. Before you come for me, this video is based on a bunch of research and experiments, and the general consensus is women read more fiction than men. Yes, I said men because clearly non-binary people need to be included in more research. Come on guys, get with it. Still annoyed? Let me know in the comments while I spit some facts. Starting with book sales. In terms of numbers, women account for nearly 80% of fiction sales in the US, UK, and Canada. And this is coming from NPD Bookscan, so you know it's legit. That's quite a significant difference, and we're not just talking about buying books here. Women also read more of the books they buy, too. With 60% of women having read a work of fiction in the past 12 months, compared with only 39% of men. The interesting thing is it doesn't matter if it's fiction, non-fiction, or poetry. Women read more across the board, although it does get pretty close in the non-fiction category. Bear in mind that the majority of these studies and statistics are referring to the UK, the US, and Canada. Couldn't find a lot for other countries, frustratingly. So why is this the case? Why do women read more fiction? Well, we have the facts, but now we need to know the why. So to do this, let's go back in time. In the 18 and 1900s, men dominated the book market, with only 10% of authors being women. This gradually started to climb in the 20th century to around 20%, but it wasn't until the 70s that women authorship saw a real change. By 2020, women were writing the majority of all new books, fiction and non-fiction, published in the United States each year. This kind of boom wasn't seen in other industries for women. In the publishing world, writing is a solo endeavor. In other words, there are no patriarchal politics or hierarchies to stop you from getting started in the first place. While down the line these existed and still exist, the act of getting started in the first place has no barriers except maybe personal ones. So with more women writing books, there were more women's voices out in the world, encouraging more women to read because they could read stuff that spoke to them. And while reading is a deeply personal activity, it's also an activity that can be shared with other women. Book clubs can trace their lineage back to 17th century Bible study groups, 18th century Parisian salons, and suffrage groups where women gathered to self-educate. Book clubs in essence provided an excuse for women to spend guiltless time with their friends, a third place that was safe, secure, and where they could be themselves. In other words, reading wasn't and isn't just an escape. It's freedom. But this isn't just research from a few years ago. It's also research from right now. Genre fiction, in particular romantasy, a combination of fantasy and romance, is set to continue to grow a huge part of the book market in 2024 and beyond. The major reason for this is the rise in social media fandoms like BookTok and Bookstagram, niche book communities on TikTok and Instagram, which again is largely dominated by women. These, coupled with near constant release of new versions of books, I'm looking at you, Fourth Wing, results in a huge amount of marketing done by readers rather than publishers to promote these books. This kind of marketing is extremely powerful and publishers know it. The romantasy genre in particular is like a winning combination. And guess who reads this genre most? That's right, women. But why does it appeal so much to women? Romantasy, new adult or young adult fantasy in particular attract a certain type of reader who didn't feel like they were well represented or catered for in the book market to date. In particular, those types of fantasy books that were written by men and don't represent women very well, yeah, they're in the past. Instead, we're treated to bold heroines and strong and complicated women characters that don't need saving but save themselves. These women can be powerful, find love, and be emotional all at the same time. These books and fiction in general can allow women to process inequality and explore its topics in a safe way that can only be found in fiction. Fiction can allow women to vent or experience catharsis while reading, exploring different topics, or feel empowered in a safe and otherworldly way. But it's important to note that reading is a privilege, and while a lot of women can feel seen and empowered by fiction written by women for women, this doesn't apply to all women, especially when there's a very real problem with the lack of diversity and diverse people seeing themselves in fiction stories. This is starting to change, so we can get a broader range of diverse authors and, therefore, a better range of stories and voices, encouraging more and more people to read. But it's a work in progress. So there's no disputing a fact. Women read more fiction. And while the reason is a long and winding story, I think we can all agree that the common thread is this. Women write fiction to have our voices heard. We read fiction to feel, understand, and see ourselves in these stories. We use these stories to escape, to feel empowered, learn, and grow. We find community in them, strength, and maybe all of this is something we just can't do in any other medium. But what do you think? Do you agree with the idea that women read more fiction? Do you have any opinions as to why you might love reading fiction the most? I would love to know, so leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.